All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad you guys could be with us here for this Wednesday webinar. Um, Mr. Greg Gunn decided that he needed a couple of days of vacation. So you guys have me this afternoon. For those of you all who don't know me, my name is Melissa Newton. I'm the training manager with the Division of Family Resource Youth Service Centers. I'm usually behind the scenes on these, helping with some of the tech stuff, but it is just me today, so I will ask everyone to be patient with me. When we go to the breakout rooms and all that kind of stuff, it does take a little bit of doing to get that done. So I appreciate your patience. We are going to get started here. I want to introduce Mr. Michael Flynn. He is with us here from Estill County and has graciously agreed to share some of his ideas around virtual programming and share some of the ideas that he has and has implemented in his center. So, without further ado, Mr. Flynn, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. Guys, I'm going to throw out my disclaimers first because I like to do that. I am not a professional Zoom performer or speaker. So I'm going to get tongue-tied and twisted, and I'm not going to look you in the eye because I'm looking this way and that way, and I forget where my camera is at and all that good stuff. And then my second disclaimer is by no means are these a be-all, end-all of programs. These are just what I do, and I told Melissa that I talked to you guys about them today, okay? And so the first thing I wanted to talk about was whenever we came back to school this year, you know, we were all used to doing things a certain way, and I was looking at my action plans and trying to figure out how on earth I was going to do all these things when we came back to school in like September. We were on a hybrid AB schedule, and with 40% of my kids coming to face on a hybrid schedule and 60% of them still being virtual. And so I was really struggling trying to figure out how we were going to get all these programs with all these kids. And so the first thing I started looking at was like Bully Prevention Week and Red Ribbon Week. And so what I ended up doing there was I created a Google Classroom for my center some time ago. And so I decided that was going to be my avenue for distributing that information to my students. So I created the Google Classroom. I invited all 500, we've got 578 kids in our building. I invited them all to it. And I'm going to be honest with you, only 377 of them joined the classroom. But I thought that was better than 50%, and I was happy with that. So what we did is during Bully Prevention Week, we still did the normal things that everybody likes to do. You know, we gave out the little flare pieces like the bully prevention bracelets, bookmarks, pencils, things like that. On the days that kids were here face to face, it went in their lunch sacks that they got delivered to their classrooms. And for those kids who are virtual, it went in their lunch bags that were transported by the bus to the buses to their homes. So they still got their little treats and tokens that people like to give out during those things. But I gotta say, I really enjoyed the Google Classroom piece. And I'm just going to share that with you guys. Let me share a screen real quick. Wrong one. Sorry. Let me get out of this one. All right. I knew I was going to do that. Are you all seeing a screen now? What are you seeing, Melissa?
Yeah, we see Bully Prevention
Okay.
Week and Red Ribbon Week.
All right.
In your
Perfect.
classroom.
Perfect. All right. I'm sorry. So if you can see there on Bully Prevention Week, what we did is we created daily lessons in that Google Classroom, and I'll just show you the first one. Students were able to sign into that, and when they did it, there was directions there for what they needed to do. Wait, that's not, here's what I want, student instructions. I didn't mean to show student work, apologize for that. But anyway, so this is what it looked like. There was a video there they could watch, and then there was a worksheet there that they filled out based on that video that they watched. And I'll show you. So that was just a simple 3 questions that went back to the video. If they watch the video, they should be able to answer those 3 points on there and get credit for doing it. Now, the thing I really liked about this is, and I'll show you this right here. right here, you'll see I had 135 kids who actually completed the assignment. And the thing I really like about doing it this way was granted, my numbers show a little bit less for Bully Prevention Week because every day when we did a in-school activity, 578 kids got credit for participating in that if they were here. But when we do it this way, I know that I have 135 kids who I know for sure got the point for that lesson that day because I could go back and look at the work they turned in and make sure that they got the point. So even though my numbers for my service is a little bit down for that day than traditionally, it is a whole lot more valid data because I know I can show a legislator or anybody else that came in, my superintendent or anybody that came in, I can say, yes, I know 135 kids in our building know something about bully prevention because they've showed their proof of knowledge right here. So I really like that piece of it. And then the other piece I really like about it is usually we do Bully Prevention Week and then we hit it and we're moving on to the next activity. Well, as you see here, I still have 2 kids that it says turned in. I have had kids all year long, 1, 2, 3 a week, who have continued to go back and do that assignment. So I still, my numbers for that service are actually growing because later today I'll go in here, I'll check the work for these 2 students. If they've shown proof of that they've done the assignment, I'll give them credit for it, and that number will be 137 over there then. And I will actually go back into Infinite Campus and add those 2 students to that group service so I can show that I did give those students that service. So the great thing about it, in my opinion, is it allows me to not only target kids for one day, but it allows me to take kids throughout the year if they want to go back and look at that. So well, you'll see for Bully Prevention Week, we did 5 days, an assignment like that every day. They were a little bit different. There were several of them that were videos. YouTube was my friend this year. But then there are some things were just PDFs that we found, and the students could read, and then they would answer worksheets. We would sometimes do Google surveys that they would answer from, and sometimes it'd be PDFs that they use a PDF filler to answer the questions in. And then the other piece that I did with this is my PE teacher really loved it because the week that this was out, when she was teaching PE, she was able to use this as part of her health class assignments. So she would go, I made her a collaborator in this, and she would go in, and if her students did that, she actually used it for some extra credit for them. And she used it for all of her virtual students that week because her virtual students, it was a good assignment for them to do while they had her for virtual learning. Let's see, Red Ribbon Week, we did the exact same way. And as you'll see on Red Ribbon Week, we had different activities. They got to create their own red ribbon. They also got to utilize some new extensions on their Chromebooks and things that we gave them in very detailed directions on how to implement them and use them. And once again, you'll see, like, I had 80, on this day, I only had 86 kids that did it. But, that number is getting ready to go up to 91 because I have 5 kids evidently who went back this week and done it. But so that's one way that we use Google Classroom to create virtual programs. And like I said, I really like the fact that it's extended that program from just being a week-long thing to something that kids can actually engage themselves in throughout the year. All right. So any questions about those?
We don't have any questions in the chat. Just Jody shared that Google Classroom has been great to hold small groups, and I would agree. We've used Google Classroom as I noticed some familiar names that folks who just came through NCO. We use it for NCO.
Right.
And Michael mentioned that YouTube was his friend. If you're interested in Google Classroom and haven't used it, I would encourage you to just go into YouTube and type how to use Google Classroom, and there's like a million videos out there, and it's pretty easy.
Exactly. All right, well, then another example of one that we've done is we did our career day virtually this past year. And we're actually getting ready to do it virtually again this year. And so this is the example of our career day. This is in a Google Doc. And I partnered with my 8th grade teachers on this. And I sent them the Google Doc, and they sent it out as a classroom assignment. But it gave very simple directions. And if you go to let's see right here. If we go to this link right here, This is a YouTube career fair. And as you can see, this is a whole series of videos about career and personal finance by Khan Academy. So students were able to go through and select any of these careers, any three of these careers that they wanted to. They watched the videos on them. Some of them had 1, 2, and 3 videos with different interviews from different people in that career field. And once the kids finished that, then they went back to this form right here and filled it out based on each of their careers. And then they submitted that. This isn't in my Google Classroom. It's in the 8th grade teachers' Google Classrooms because they all agreed to use this. And so when I got my teachers to agree to use it all as a team, then I actually got credit for, there's 197 kids in my 8th grade. And I think all but about 6 of those kids actually did that assignment because it was required by their teachers as part of their daily coursework. But so that's how we went with a virtual career day.
Michael, we did have one question. Ashley asked, what was the paint event that you scrolled past? So was
Oh,
that in
paint.
red? That's hard to
Let's,
say, isn't it? Red
let's
ribbon.
see. Oh, web paint. That is one of the extensions that you can add to your Chromebook that will allow you to add decorate this. You see this red ribbon right here that we gave them? That was an extension on their Chromebooks that they can use to actually decorate that with color and pictures and things of that nature. Because every kid created their own red ribbon that last year. Okay.
And then there was a question about content in Google Classroom, if it will still be there for the next school year, or do you have to upload it all over again?
What I will do, I won't have to upload it all over again. I will just reassign it as a new assignment. So those assignments all stay in there and I will just reassign them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And you can also copy classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do is you can copy it into a whole brand new classroom and give it a new name, and it has all the content, but none of the students that have joined. So.
Right. All right. So we did career day. We've talked about, okay. So then we also did our reality store last year on a virtual platform. And so what we did is we created a slideshow. I'm sorry, my brain went dead for about 30 seconds. We created a slideshow that was all about the reality store, and it took each screen and each slide in the slideshow took the kids through the process of the career day. The first few slides were just the instructions on how to do it. And then once again, I partnered with my social studies teachers because financial literacy is a part of the 8th grade social studies content. So they were more than happy to take 3 days of their time last spring to do the reality store virtually. And of course, everybody was looking for things to do last year around March. So they were very happy to do it. So you'll see here that we've given the directions that they could email any of the 3 of us to get assistance with this if they were having trouble getting it completed. And these 2 teachers actually liked it so well that we're actually that's what we're doing this week right now is they are doing, even though we're in face-to-face, we're doing no paper pencils right now. Everything's still on the Chromebooks. So with both our in-face person-to-person classes and our virtual students, we are doing a virtual reality store this week. But just to let you guys kind of get a glance at it, we assigned jobs based on kids' last names just because that was the simplest way to do it. In the virtual world, used to we would have in the classroom we would have had a different scenario on how you found out what your career was, but this was how we decided to do it this year, and we only had a choice of about 7 careers. When you picked your career, there is a another link that was added to Google Classroom. Let's see if I can find that real quick. No. Yeah, here it is. All right, so this was their different careers they would choose from, and say that they became an automotive mechanic. They would have pulled up this particular screen from their Google Classroom, and you see it tells them what their beginning salary was. It already took out their taxes from Uncle Sam for federal and state taxes, and told them over here, you'll see it tells them automatically how many children they have, how much insurance they have, and then what their monthly salary is. So they only had 7 options on that, but it made it much easier to do it through a Google Classroom that way. And then we're back to this. So then we had a slide that just described each booth that they would traditionally have visited in a face-to-face reality store. And then you'll see as we get on down here, like for banking, they had a choice for what banking accounts they wanted to open. We did require them to open a bank account, but if they chose not to, they still had to purchase some money orders to pay their bills, or we would tell them that it was online fees for paying online. And then we also, like when we did housing, they just simply clicked, if they were going to buy a house, they clicked on this link, which I took them to it took them to their options for housing. And the same if they were renting, they would have went to the other link and it would have taken them to their house to rent. As they went on through like utilities, we just had charts here that showed them what they would do, and they had to do the math themselves and whatnot. But then the same thing with transportation, taxes, and license. I'm not going to go through all this, but then I'll just show you guys at the end. At the end, they had 5 questions that they had to submit in the private comments of their Google Classroom, and the teachers graded that to make sure that they had understanding of the content that we were trying to get them to have. And then they actually teachers have sent that to me of who all finished it and who all finished it accurately. So that's how I got my count for that service last year, was how many students the teacher said actually finished the service. Anybody have any questions about that one? Okay. And then this is the one that we last year for transition from 5th grade to 6th grade. We start middle school and 6th grade here, like most people do. But used to, I would have taken a group of students to the elementary school in a pre-transition activity where they would have taken a magazine that you get at Channing Beatty called "What's Up with Starting Middle School." And my middle school students actually take that magazine and they take the first 12 pages of it, and they customize that magazine to fit our school. And I've just got some examples of those pages right here. This is one of them. It talks about checking out the building. If you get a chance to go to the building and see what it's like, and then it encourages the kids to make a map of the building so that they have kind of puts that into memory. And so what my kids would have done when they went there that day, they would have provided those students with a copy of the school map. They would have given them a map of the 1st and 2nd floor of the building. And then you'll see here, this is just talking about supplies that you need for school. When my students would have went to that school and done this, they would have told the kids, well, you do need a backpack here at middle school, but what you have to remember is our middle school requires that they be clear of mesh. So they personalize it to the school very specifically. They talk about lockers. They talk about they explain to the kids how the lockers work at middle school. They bring a combination lock with them and let the kids practice it and all that stuff. Of course, when COVID happened last year, we couldn't do that. So what we did is we mailed a copy of this magazine to every kid, and then we sent this to them. And well, I've pulled up the wrong document. I apologize. This is actually the script. And when my kids that go to the classrooms, they actually use this script when they talk with the students. That way I make sure that they're given accurate information. They're only allowed to share the information in the script, and then I'm present for any question and answer time to make sure that the 5th graders are getting accurate information. But we did convert this script into a lesson to where they could actually go through this script in a similar format that we had mailed with the magazine. So it was like worksheets with each of those 12 pages. So my 5th graders still got to go through that process for that pre-transition. And then, but this year, what we're going to do is, since we're still not allowed to intermingle school, we're not allowed to travel with students on school buses and stuff right now, other than to and from school. We are going to do this on Zoom. we're going to have a Zoom where my middle school kids are going to send a Zoom link to a 5th grade teacher. That teacher is going to put the Zoom link up on their smart board. And so my students will be doing a live Zoom with and doing the same thing they would have done if they had gone into the classroom. And the really cool thing about that is not only is it going to be sent, those teachers are also going to send that Zoom link to their virtual students. So those virtual students will be able to sign into that same Zoom meeting, and everybody will be able to get that face-to-face interaction with an actual middle school student. And so that's one of my favorite parts about that is just, I love for 5th graders to get to actually meet some kids in the building that I know they can trust when they come here next year and kind of have established a little bit of a relationship. And this is the closest I'm going to be able to get that this year. So we will be doing that this year as another virtual style transition program. All right. Guys, I'm thinking. All right. The only other thing that we've been doing, and I think everybody's been doing the drive-through pickups for virtual parent nights. But the only thing that we do is we've had great success with those drive-through parent nights. And I've discovered that drive-through parent nights may even be better than hosting them face-to-face, because we were having some really good turnout for our face-to-face. I was averaging about 100 people a night once a month for family nights. And for a middle school, that's pretty good in my opinion. But what we've realized now is our numbers are actually a little bit larger than that, because used to I would have family night on Thursday night from 5 to 7, and that limited it to only people who could be there on Thursday night from 5 to 7. Well, what we're doing now is these families are picking up these kits, and when they pick them up, they're given an email address and a QR code and a Google survey link. And so they have 7 days to email me pictures of them completing the activities as a family. And they have 7 days to use that email link, that QR code, to answer our survey, our evaluation of the program. If they do that, they get their names entered in a drawing for a prize that we've had donated for that. Right now, they're all competing for a new smart TV that we've had donated. And so it's really cool because parents are super excited about the fact that they can pick it up between 5 and 7 on Thursday, or have someone else pick it up for them. And they had 7 days, which I'm going to be honest with you, most of them are doing them on the weekends. Most of them are submitting their answers and their pictures and stuff to me on Saturday and Sunday, because they actually have time on the weekend to do the things that they didn't have time to do when it was only committed to Thursdays. So that's been a really positive outcome of COVID, is just realizing that, we're giving parents a broader window of opportunity to be able to participate. So I've talked to my advisory council, and I know right now we are looking at doing this even after COVID restrictions start lifting. We do 10 family nights a year, and we're going to commit to doing 4 of them face-to-face, with the other 6 we're going to leave in that drive-through pickup, semi-virtual type of style, because we see a greater participation that way.
We do have a couple of questions in the chat. If this is a good time for that. The first one is Maggie wants to know, what is the name of that magazine again?
It's called What's Up with Starting Middle School.
What's Up with Starting Middle School. And then can you talk a little bit about what types of kits you're sending home?
I can. We've done several. Actually, we've got one going out tomorrow night. And tomorrow night, the first kit that goes out is, we always provided dinner for our families. Okay. We'd always provide some kind of meal when they came face-to-face. And now we send them home with meal kits. Tomorrow's meal kit will consist of a 8-pack of hamburger buns, a pound of ground beef, and a can of Malmwich, and a can of Pringles. Okay. That's basically enough to a simple meal for 4 people. And it's something that the kids can help cook. Okay. So that's what our meal kit's going to be tomorrow night. We've done a kit for making chili. We've done a kit for making tacos. We've done a kit for making spaghetti, all simple meals that won't take families a hard time to make. And it's pretty cheap for us to put together. So we do those meal kits. And then so tomorrow is all about financial literacy. It's tied to March Madness and all that stuff, and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So We have a breakout game that we are sending home with all our parents, our families, and it's a 3-stage breakout game, and it's called, oh, I can't remember. It's all about your aunt has passed away and left you a fortune, and you have to financially use this money wisely. So the first session they learn is how to buy a house, and it talks about mortgage payments, how to calculate interest, and how to do all that stuff. When they finish that task, the next one is how to buy a car. So it talks about, once again, how do you calculate car loans? What's the difference of taking out a 3-year loan versus a 6-year loan? Things like that. Once they finish that task, the last one is all about college access. And so it takes the parents through how do you save for college? What are your options as far as what types of saving plans you can have? What kind of scholarships should you plan on? It talks about your keys money, things like that. And as they complete each task, in their envelope comes their breakout game, and then there's 3 individual envelopes that have prizes in those envelopes. So once they finish one task, they can open the prize envelope number 1 and they get their prize out. And they finish task number 2, they open their envelope, and then they at the end they send us a picture of their completed breakouts, and that puts their name into the drawing for that smart TV. If they make the manwich meal together and they send a picture of them either sitting at the table eating it, or somebody helping somebody make it, they get their name put in for the drawing for the free TV. We also have we send out a STEM careers link every time. So there's always a sheet that's going to have a list of some similar YouTube videos, like I showed you for the career day, that's just strictly STEM related careers, because we're trying to do a real good push on STEM activities and STEM careers here. So there's always one of those in our family kits. Then this one that we got going out too also has this going out in it. It's the Kia magazine. It's called It's Money Baby, and that's where you learn about keys money and a lot of stuff like that in there. So we send that out with them. And then they're also getting a college terms word scramble, and it is just a way to help parents become more literate in college terminology. We really kind of push that here so that by the time they get to high school, they're really thinking about what their career choices are. We also, this one's about college terminology. Sometimes we send them out that's more focused on vocational terminology. And then we also send them out that's just on the basic workforce terminology, because we know not all of our kids are going to go to college and they're not all going to vocational school, but the better equipped they are with understanding the terminology that they're going to run across on job applications and during job interviews, the more successful we feel like they're going to be. Does that kind of answer y'all's question?
Yeah. What were in the prizes? What were in the prize envelopes?
They're simple things. The big prize is this.
Oh.
It's just a box of M&Ms. And then the other prizes, they may be bookmarks. They may be I don't want to call them junk. The little Oriental toys and stuff that you get. You know what I'm saying? I call it junk, but my kids bring it home. I trash it, but everybody else's kids love them. So
From the Oriental Trading Catalog, that's like the best, isn't it?
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's whatever somebody gives me. I'm really good. They call me the hoarder around here, because anybody giving something away, I take it and I find a place for it. So it's kind of a running joke around here. If you can't find a place for it, send it to Mike Flynn.
Excellent. Any other questions? Those are all of our questions in chat right now.
All right. Well, Melissa, I talk really fast, and I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. It was good information.
That's how I tell people I deal with middle schoolers, because if you talk really fast, they pay attention, and you don't lose their attention.
Right. Excellent. All right. Thank you so much for sharing some of those ideas. And I have to admit that I'm the big Google cheerleader at our office. I really like using the Google Classroom, so I appreciate you sharing that information. And we're going to jump over to our breakout sessions. So the first breakout session that I was hoping that you guys would participate in is celebrating your successes. I know that lots of schools, if you were doing fully virtual, a lot of schools are going back to in-person learning, and you're getting to see kids more now in your centers. And I thought it'd be a great time to look back over what has worked really well in terms of the last year, which was really hard for everybody, doing virtual programming and all the things that we had to go through. So I wanted to give some time for you guys to brag about your centers and about what you guys accomplished. And I know for many coordinators, that's tough. You guys are, serving and you have servant hearts, and it's hard to brag about what you've done, but it's also important to celebrate the things that you have done well in your centers. And so I wanted to give some time for that. So we will jump into our first breakout, and that's the suggested topic. If you get in there and you guys start talking about other things, that's great too. Remember, these Wednesday webinars were initially started to give you all the opportunity to collaborate with your colleagues across the state, because we know that was missing when we had our big conferences. So we'll go ahead and open up the breakout rooms. I'm going to give you guys 10 to 12 minutes on those, and then we will come back and do some, reporting out if somebody has anything they want to share to the larger group. And then if we've got some time, we'll go into our second breakout. So I'm going to go ahead and open the rooms. Not everybody back. Give them a few more seconds to come back from the breakout room. All right. So does anybody want to share anything that stood out with the larger group? Any really great success stories that you want to share?
I think overall in our group, we just survived. Managed to survive. We're still coordinators even after a year like last year. So we just managed to survive and keep our attitudes up and our spirits high and really just adapt to these new changes and new challenges. So I think that was a big success for our group.
I agree 100%, right? Coming out the other end, that is a huge thing to celebrate. So, very good. Anybody else? All right. Well, we've got some time left, so I have another topic for you guys. This one, actually, Michael brought this up in what he was talking about, and the fact that they are going to continue um, doing the parent nights with the new and improved way. So I would like to give you all an opportunity to talk about if there are things that you implemented during the past year that you want to continue on because they were really good. I know that learning how to use the technology has been really beneficial for me, right? I never did video conferencing or any of that stuff before. And now I feel like it's like second nature now. And I think that that's a good thing. Although I'm looking forward to getting back to seeing people face to face, it is nice when I need to have a meeting with somebody over in Paducah, that's just going to be a couple of hour meeting. I don't have to get a hotel room and drive to Paducah, right? You can do it over video conferencing now. That's really a positive thing that's come out. So I want to give you guys some time to talk about that. Um, so get this set up here. And we're going to open all the rooms, and we'll do this for about 10 minutes or so. And then again, we can come out and we can do some sharing if we. Yes, and I noticed that your virtual career day was done. You used Khan Academy for that. That's a fantastic resource. I don't know if anybody's ever gone to that website or not, but I've actually taken some classes from there myself. They have some good classes on there.
Well,
But yeah, somebody, Rhonda, put in the chat, keeping my AC meetings virtual. I think that's certainly a great way to encourage participation, as I would think, especially from a community member standpoint. In a past life, I was actually an advisory council member at one point, and I know that some folks, had some, getting there, leaving their office, if you give them that option to, to be at the meeting virtually. I know y'all can't see it right now, but my cat's getting ready to walk across the screen, and that's something that I want to continue after the pandemic is to keep having my pets with me, right? So here's Earl. That's a that's a bonus, being able to pet your pets, hang out with your pets. But yeah, the advisory council meetings, that's a good one. And the parent involvement, it sure does give people another opportunity to be involved if they can't be there in person. So,
What's
anybody else?
another great advantage of using those Khan Academy videos for Career Day is just sheer fact that it's just being vetted for use of student age. It's age appropriate. You don't have to worry about a career presenter saying something that's not student appropriate, because that's been vetted for that purpose. And I learned that lesson the hard way a couple of years ago. But just
It sounds like there's a story behind
great
that.
career guy, and I only watched like the first 15 minutes of the 18-minute video, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Last 3 minutes shot me down.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing, all the things that you do there at your center. I know I certainly appreciate your time. I have put the link to the exit survey. I'll add that once again in the chat. There, for those of you all who have done these before, there is a new question on the exit survey, and that's to get a sense of how many folks have students back in the building. Our next Wednesday webinar is another session on virtual programming, but with so many folks going back into the schools, we're trying to get a sense of, if that's something that we need to still talk about, or if we might want to look for some other topics to bring to you guys. And certainly we're always interested to hear what you all want to hear. These are for you and for your information, but that is a new question to be aware of on there. So we have come to the end of our time together this afternoon. Does anybody have any questions before we end the call? No? All right. Thank you all so much for joining me and for being patient with my clicking around. I hope I was as smooth as Greg. Even if I wasn't, lie to him and tell him I was. Right. So everybody give a thumbs up, because he'll be editing this video and say, yeah, she was great. She was awesome. All right, everybody have a great afternoon. Appreciate your time and appreciate the work that you do out there. Everybody take care.